Lakeside Dental Clinic, Go Island, is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic.
We're checking in at Nanaimo City Hall today. We're recapping the most recent City Council meeting. Jupiter Jill using her talents to help orphans, the superpowers of dance with vibe and sitting pretty on Galliano Island. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and every day following a regular Monday night Nanaimo City Council meeting, we check in with the Mayor Bill McKay for a few highlights. And we just want to apologize. We did experience some technical difficulties on the April 20th broadcast. There were some audio issues that will be broadcast with those challenges corrected on Sunday morning at 9. That's 9 a.m. Sunday morning. We're going to throw things over now to Kelly Robinson. She's spending some time with Jupiter Jill, who is using her talents to help orphan children in Ukraine. Jupiter Jill will be collecting donations for her show that takes place on April the 25th, Sending the Love. It runs from 1 until 3 at Maffeo Sutton Park. A referendum to release, I think, 60% of Georgia Park for use by a Hilton Hotel in downtown Nanaimo is no longer going to happen. Why is that? What happened to change that?
Well, the developers actually started to get a little bit nervous based on the information they were getting from the community. There was some pushback and there was a lot of focus on them. So they thought, rather than get involved in a referendum process, why don't we just pare back the project a little bit. We repackaged it, and now you'll see something that will not require a referendum.
What are we going to see, and is this actually going to happen? Because waiting for hotels in Nanaimo has never been really very fruitful.
Well, one thing we have to remember is that they're very complicated projects. They require a lot of financing. There's a lot of due diligence involved. I know that Kelowna just recently approved a hotel in a waterfront setting where they actually sold a portion of a park to the hotel group. And that project took 15 years from inception to execution. So I think we're doing pretty good, actually.
All right, and what will it look like, and is there a timeline?
Well, it's going to be gorgeous. I think it's going to be a real enhancement to the waterfront. It's got a great presence. It's going to have a stairway going down from the hotel because there's going to be access from Front Street. And you're going to be able to go all the way down to the boardwalk from the Front Street entrance of the hotel, which is part of the requirement that we had for them. They're going to take over the park. They're going to do about $1.5 million worth of improvements, and they're going to maintain those for the duration of the hotel being in existence.
And just to clarify, take over the park, that means enhance it for public use, not take it over privately.
Correct. So what they're doing is they're going to take it over to do the reworking of that park. Do all the improvements to it, and then they're going to turn it back to us. It never leaves our hands, in actual fact.
Do we want to guess when this will happen?
They're working on this project very hard. I expect that we're going to see some results soon.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're going to come back and touch on some more highlights from the most recent Nanaimo City Council meeting. It's time for a short break. Still to come, bearded collies breed characteristics in transition at the Bethlehem Retreat Center and Vibe, unlocking the superpowers of dance. You're watching Go Island. The Bethlehem Retreat Center, located at Westwood Lake, is going through a bit of a transition right now. The facility is for sale, and the Friends of Bethlehem Retreat are hoping to purchase it.
So the Bethlehem Retreat Center historically has been run by a group of Benedictine nuns, and they've seen the space as sacred space for people to come and journey inwards and to find out more about their relationship with themselves and the greater energies of the world. They're interfaith in perspective, meaning that they're open to people of all background. And another key piece is sacred hospitality, that when you come here, you really are nourished. So Friends of Bethlehem Retreat Center is a group of community members who are coming together to ensure the long-term viability of the retreat center. We're doing this through two fundraising means. One is through targeting key investors, and the other is through local fundraising. So So this weekend is our Bethlehem Alive event, which is a smorgasbord of different facilitators, leaders in the religious, the spiritual, the creative arts areas are all coming together to offer different interactive workshops, talks, lectures. It's very participatory. So if this is your first time to Bethlehem Retreat Center, we invite you to come out and get a taste and find out more of what it's about. Or if you've been here 1,000 times and you really want to support us in keeping this alive, not just alive, but really thriving, then come on out. Starts on Saturday afternoon at 3:30 and runs through until Sunday evening at 6:30.
We always have a truly wonderful experience when we've spent time at the Bethlehem Retreat Center. Moving now to a topic of dance. Vibrant dance studio Vibe Dance is gearing up for their latest production. It's called Chi, Unlocking the Superpowers of Dance. Here's Jocelyn Matwee. The 2015 budget passed third reading at the City Council meeting on Monday night. What's left to do? There's a deadline of May 4th, and what is that deadline?
On May 4th, we're going to be adopting that budget. So any last little changes that need to be made will be done between now and then. We have to have this done by May 15th, otherwise we cannot pass our tax bylaw. In other words, we can't collect taxes without having a budget approved.
Wow, and there's no chance of that happening. I mean, you always make the deadline,
It doesn't appear as though it's going to now, no.
Okay, so then right away you're already working on 2016 to 2020, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. We've got a number of projects on the go. We've got some council that are concerned about 2016, 2017, so we're going to have to start refining those.
What are the concerns there?
Well, we've got a significant tax increase coming up in 2017 should we decide to build a new fire hall. It's not so much the fire hall, but it's the staffing of the fire hall that's going to be a concern.
Okay.
And so we're going to have to look at that very carefully. But of course, we've been working with our fire department, looking at a whole new integrated risk management model that says you base your fire department on anticipating risk as opposed to responding to it.
Okay. Another thing that was discussed on Monday night's council meeting, was changes proposed to the cultural funding program. What changes are being discussed?
It's basically the application process. You get a lot of criticism when people are unsuccessful, and some groups are more successful than others. So it's trying to put some give it a real sense of fair play, that you're doing everything that you possibly can to stimulate these groups. These are not intended to be continuous funding. It's intended to be seeds that actually germinate these new organizations as they go along.
And that's actually been criticized a little bit, because when you look at cultural initiatives, it's not a handout, it's an investment. And do you think that is how the city perceives what's happening culturally in this town?
What I find interesting is that folks particularly involved in sport see arts and culture as something very different. It is foreign to them. But if we were to use that logic, then we would suggest that all of the sporting venues and programs that we put on are also a handout, and they're not. They're an investment in the culture and the well-being of the community.
Do you think the city funds cultural events to the same degree as they do sporting events?
I think we're getting there. We're getting there. And what I find really interesting is that I've really changed my whole outlook on it. I remember when the art programs were coming, the temporary art programs, I thought, this is crazy.
Of the public art, the crabs and they're fabulous though, aren't they?
And it adds conversation, and it adds vitality, and it adds some life to an otherwise stark space in so many places.
Well, I'll tell you what, you take me to a Raiders game,
okay,
and I'll take you to a modern dance show. And then we can we can learn, expand our horizons together and make it less foreign.
I've got seasons tickets, so you're on.
And you'll have season theater tickets by next year.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. We're going to come back with some more highlights from the most recent City Council meeting. Time again for a short break. There was a lot of time spent discussing a proposed multifamily facility that would be put up in McRobb Avenue, that's in the Uplands area. What is that project all about, and what's the discussion?
I believe it's a 79-unit rental apartment building that's being built by an operator that currently operates 6 facilities in Nanaimo. And the hot topic on that one happened to be parking. And the neighbors were concerned about the amount of parking that was going to be provided in there, and the fact that we were looking at a variance.
What's the variance?
Well, the variance, normally you would require 1.66 parking spaces per unit. However, there's some micro units in that building, there's some 1-bedroom units, and it's also in an urban node area that is really close to shopping and close to all kinds of amenities. What we're seeing is that parking's actually going in the other direction. But the minute you provide a variance to parking, people get upset about that because they're not quite up on how parking is actually is changing. People are using different methods to get to and fro, and we're seeing much lower uses than our parking currently requires.
And that's good news.
It is good news.
That's great news.
But we also have to remember, if we force them to live up to this extremely high level of parking, it adds to the cost of the project. And when it adds to the cost, it either adds to your monthly rental bill or to your purchase price. So we have to, it's a real balancing act to make sure that there's the right amount of parking.
And further discussion on that before any decisions, obviously?
No, we actually modified, and in my view, we went a little high. The parking was reduced from 1.66 down to 1.46. So there was a small variance given.
Leave the quarter panel at home, right?
No, if it were up to me, I'd get down to 1.
Right.
I would have reduced it significantly more.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
We're going to throw things over now to Karen Elgersma. She's spending some time on Galliano Island. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. Before we officially sign off, though, we popped into the Costin Hall in Lansville recently, where the Tidesman Barbershop Chorus were rehearsing for their upcoming production.
Some trails are happy ones, others are blue.
This is the Tidesman Barbershop Chorus. We've been singing 4-part harmony in the Nanaimo area for 43 years.
For you. Happy trails to you.
And this Saturday, May the 2nd, we've got a big show at the Port Theatre. We're doing a show at 2 p.m. and at 7:30 p.m. And it's called Gunfight at the Barbershop Chorale.
Who cares about the clouds when we're together?
That's a spoofy Western take on a couple of sheriffs, one old one and one new one, who are coming to town, and they're in a bit of a conflict, and we sing some songs and tell some jokes.
Again, happy trails to you.
And then the second half of the show, we have a guest quartet coming all the way from Portland, Oregon, called Snafu. So tickets are available at the Port Theatre website or the Port Theatre box office.
To sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you. Till we meet again.
That does now bring us to the very end of this edition of Go Island, and we can't thank you enough for watching the show. We continue to get positive feedback when we're out and about in the community, and it really means a lot. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Lakeside Dental Clinic Go Island is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic, a division of the Vancouver Island Implant Center, delivering dental services, including dental implants and sedation dentistry, all under one roof. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.